Coupang is known as the Amazon of South Korea, and I've actually been living here for the past few years and have been using Coupang over the past few months as part of my due diligence, and I've become a loyal customer now, and so I'm super excited to share with you my thoughts on one of the hottest IPOs of the year. What's up everyone, my name is Ben. I'm a former JP Morgan investment banking analyst, and welcome to Rare Liquid, the best channel for tech investing. Today we're going to be talking about Coupang, and I'm going to be adding this video as part of the series of rare deep dives of tech companies, which is a channel on my playlist. But before I get started, just as a quick reminder, I am not a financial advisor, so please treat everything in this video as for entertainment purposes only. Alright, with that said, let's get right to it. First, let's go a bit into the history of Coupang. Coupang was founded in 2010 by Bom Kim, a Harvard Business School dropout. The company started off as a daily deal Groupon type business, but pivoted into an eBay-style third-party marketplace that reached over $1 billion in sales within 3 years. Coupang almost went public with that business model, but decided to pull out of an IPO because Bom felt like the company was one that customers liked, but not one that they loved. Coupang completely reinvented itself into an end-to-end e-commerce company, and with the help of a $2 billion investment from SoftBank in 2018, the company has now become a dominant force in Korea. This leads us to the next part of the video, which is about what Coupang has become today. Let me first set the stage by providing the 3 key values that drive everything that Coupang does: service, selection, and price. These values pervade all of Coupang's business, and let's talk about the company within the framework of these 3 key values. First off is service, which is, in my opinion, the most impressive part of the company. What differentiates Coupang from all its competitors is that it has invested billions of dollars into its infrastructure and technology to create a completely end-to-end service, everywhere from when a customer places an order all the way to when that order is actually delivered. The company owns the largest logistics footprint in the country, with 70% of the population living within 7 miles of a Coupang logistics center. This allows the company to offer the fastest delivery service in the country through Rocket Delivery, which offers the following services. First, millions of items are available for either same-day delivery if ordered in the morning, or dawn delivery, which delivers products to you by 7 a.m. if you order by midnight. I actually personally tested this by ordering just a few minutes before midnight, and the items did arrive by 7 a.m. the next day. Second, nearly 100% of orders are delivered either by the next day or faster, even before holidays like Christmas. The company has been able to eliminate cardboard boxes in over 75% of its orders, which saves the company both costs and in storage space, and of course is also eco-friendly. All produce I order come in these eco-friendly bags, which I just leave outside my door as soon as I take everything out, and the next time I order something, they pick it up. Fourth are frictionless returns. Instead of having to drop off your items, you simply leave them outside your door and initiate a return on the app, which is super convenient. I also tested out a return as well because I accidentally ordered boiled eggs instead of just normal eggs. And when I initiated a refund, they actually just gave me the money back and didn't collect the item. So sometimes I think if it's a really small loss, they'll just want to delight the customer by giving them the refund and letting them keep the item. The second of Coupang's values to discuss is selection, which is also very impressive. Put simply, Coupang offers more items than any other e-commerce player in Korea, both for products and for groceries. I've personally ordered a range of items from tape to strawberries to pens, but you can also order other things like TVs and clothes. And I thought it'd be a little fun and interesting for you guys to actually see the app itself from my phone and watch me kind of order something. Okay, so here's what the app looks like, and as you can tell by the icons, you can pretty much buy anything that you might want. So let's say that I want to buy apples. I put that onto the search bar, and if you press the Rocket filter on the top left, then all the apples that can be delivered through Rocket Delivery show up. And guys, just look at all the number of apples you can choose from. It's just insane. I've personally found that the reviews are also super helpful to know which one to buy. So let's say that I want to buy this one. There's some detail about the product, and as you can tell, all the photos are also really high quality. Buying is as simple as pressing 2 buttons if you want it right away, or you can also add it to the cart. The third, last but not least value is price. First of all, Coupang offers all of the great services like Rocket Delivery and same-day shipping for an insanely low rate of 2,900 won a month, which roughly equates to $2.50. Coupang's goal is to offer the lowest possible prices to customers, And the scary thing is that there's a lot left for the company to scale, and so its competitive advantage on that front will grow more and more as time goes on. In addition to being an e-commerce business that delivers products and groceries, the company also has Coupang Eats, which is pretty much like an Uber Eats or DoorDash, and they also offer Coupang Play, which is a streaming service. When you go on Coupang's website, there's also a travel button where you can compare flights and hotels and cars for travel. So basically like a Kayak or Expedia. And the company is also working on merchant services, just as like how Amazon can fulfill orders for other companies. Coupang, with all its different fulfillment centers across the country, is able to collect inventory from companies and deliver it on their behalf. There is even more that the company is working on, and all of it are centered around their 3 core values of service, selection, and price. But basically what you need to know is that there's a lot of potential for future growth for this company beyond just e-commerce. Next, let's talk about the market Coupang is participating in. But before I go into the market and the numbers, I actually wanted to provide a little bit of context about what Korea is like, having lived here for the past few years. First off, Korea is incredibly tech savvy. There was Apple Pay before Apple Pay even existed. Koreans have been paying with their smartphones for a really long time now. There's free Wi-Fi everywhere. Even my grandma has a smartphone. Pretty much almost everyone in the country has a smartphone. Second, as a baseline, Koreans work incredibly hard. After the 1950s and the Korean War, Korea was pretty much a third world country, and since then has been able to work its way up through almost sheer effort to become the 4th largest economy in Asia and the 12th largest in the world. A lot of Korean students literally study from 8 a.m. to almost midnight, especially if they're in high school studying for this big national exam that they all have to study for. And a lot of my friends working in their corporate jobs work pretty long hours, even though they don't get as good a pay as you might get in like the United States. I really am bringing this up because Coupang is basically employing a huge part of the Korean workforce, which as a baseline has an incredibly high work ethic, which is important and good for the company. The third is that Korea's land is pretty small and the cities are incredibly dense, which is probably what helps Coupang be so efficient and able to deliver to all the different neighborhoods really quickly. All right, next, let's talk about numbers. As of 2019, Korea's e-commerce market was $128 billion, and that's expected to grow to $206 billion, which represents a 10% annual growth rate. In addition to that, e-commerce spend on a per buyer basis is expected to grow from $2,600 in 2019 to $4,300 in 2024. These numbers are great, but what's really astonishing is that the company only really owns 4% of the market, which means that there's a ton of room for future growth. Next up, let me talk about the bull case for Coupang. First, let's talk about the company's scale. In all of South Korea, Coupang is the largest e-commerce player, has the fastest delivery service, owns the largest logistics footprint with over 100 centers across 30 cities, provides the largest selection of products, and has the largest fleet of drivers with over 15,000 employed. Coupang was able to grow to its scale today after raising $3.4 billion, 3 of which came from SoftBank, which has the largest fund in the world. And so it's possible, but pretty challenging for another competitor to come in with that kind of funding. Second is Coupang's tech, because Coupang is actually a technology and logistics company. All that money from SoftBank didn't go only into capital expenditures, but also into a really sophisticated tech infrastructure that predicts and assigns the fastest and most efficient path for every order. Coupang's chief technology officer is Tuan Pham, who was the former CTO of Uber, so really a perfect person for the job. Each order shifts through hundreds of millions of options of different types of inventory, routing options, and processing. And all of that happens within just a matter of seconds. So, it's really hard for any company to replicate this kind of technology really quickly. Third is an extremely loyal and growing customer base. Some companies like Coupang offer something what's known as cohort math, and it's basically when the company follows the same group of people and see how they spend over time. As you can see from this table, 2016 customers took 5 years to triple their spending, while it took 2017 customers 4 years and 2018 customers only 3 years. From using Coupang myself, I can really see why this is the case. I used to order from various different websites for different things that I needed, but now that I've been using Coupang, It has everything that I want in one app, and so I don't really see myself spending anywhere else, and so that's why I've been spending more and more on the app as the weeks have been going on. Next, let's talk about what you may need to be worried about as an investor. First, the company is unprofitable and is investing heavily in potential growth drivers, and this could lead to severe losses, especially if things don't pan out well. The company points out as a risk factor in its S1 that it may expand into other countries, and I would pay really close attention to this since this could take away from the company's focus and cause losses in the future. Second is the lack of shareholder voting rights. Coupang CEO Bom Kim owns about 77% of the company's voting rights and also acts as chairman of the board. So this guy has a ton of influence over the company. If Bom Kim is involved in some kind of scandal or starts underperforming for whatever reason, then this is a potential risk for the company. Third is Coupang's valuation. As with most hot IPOs, there's usually a frenzy at the beginning, and the valuation could get stretched a little bit too quickly. And with the current environment, with interest rates potentially going up in the future, this is something just to be on the lookout for. My next video is going to be about how to value a company, and I'm going to be using Coupang as an example. So if you're interested, make sure to check that out. Fourth is competition, even for a company that has so many competitive advantages like Coupang. In November 2020, Amazon invested a 30% stake in competitor 11th Street, which is majority owned by SK Telecom, which is one of the largest companies in Korea. Now, I do plan to interview some of my friends to ask them about the competitive landscape in the e-commerce market in Korea. So later on, I'm going to be doing a follow-up video about Coupang, about a few more things that I dig up. So if you're interested, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Next up, let's do a financial overview of the company. Coupang has been able to grow its quarterly revenue from $0.8 billion in Q1 of 2018 to $3.8 billion in the latest quarter. This was driven by a 27% annual increase in number of customers from 9.2 million to 14.8 million in over the past few years. In addition, there's been a 42% annual increase in spend per customer from $127 to $256. At the same time, as the company has scaled, it has also been able to improve its gross margins from 4.7% to 16.6%. EBITDA margins also went up from negative 24% to negative 2%. And due to the increase in the company's scale, the company is spending less on operating expenses as a percentage of revenue. And what's most fascinating to me is that Coupang only spends 1% of its revenue on marketing. Now, going very briefly into the company's cash flow statement, you'll notice that the company has positive operating cash flow, which means that the core part of the business is generating money and is a great sign. With negative $485 million in capital expenditures, the company's free cash flow is slightly negative, but again, I think this is okay given that the company is still growing. Next up really quickly is Coupang's balance sheet. The important thing to note here is that the company has slightly less cash than it does debt, but after the IPO, it'll probably raise about $4 billion, so cash won't really be a problem, and it can be used to fund the business in the future. Okay, so I won't actually be talking about what I'm doing because this is more for a video that explains what the business does. But if you do want to follow my trade, make sure to check out my Patreon where I share my buy-sell alerts, and you can also join the Discord to join the community. Check those out in the description below. Okay, so that pretty much wraps up the video. Thank you so much as always for watching. If you found it helpful, then please do me a favor and like the video and share it with your friends. With that said, thank you so much for watching as always, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.